Announced at the Game Awards 2024, Sonic Racing Crossworlds is the 10th dedicated racing game featuring the blue blur. A follow-up to Team Sonic Racing, it aims to combine elements of the Hedgehog's racing escapades from the last 20 years. But without Sumo at the helm, can it still deliver? This past weekend, Sega offered a free network test demo on all platforms. Of course, I jumped in to see how it's looking, so this is Dan, the Mega Driver of the Sega guys, with my impressions of Sonic Racing Crossworlds. While Sonic's early racing titles were certainly very hit or miss, the latter games developed by Sumo Digital were very well received indeed, both critically and commercially, with Team Sonic Racing in particular being one of Sega's highest selling games of the last 10 years. However, with Sumo Digital being gobbled up by Tencent in recent years, Sonic Team have taken this one in-house for development, with various Sega arcade racing experts drafted into the studio to add some classic Sega arcade racing pedigree to the proceedings. And you can feel that DNA immediately as soon as you race. The handling model feels completely different to that of prior games. I'm undecided as to whether it's better than Transformed or Team Sonic Racing, but it's certainly different. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself here. The network test, or beta, was available from the 29th of August to the 1st of September and gave players a generous amount of content to try out, both single and multiplayer. I plumped for the Grand Prix mode first to get a feel for the game before diving in online and Dodonpa gave me a jump scare. You see, I didn't think I'd see this oddball character again, but I guess since Team Sonic Racing sold over 3 million copies, someone out there thinks he's popular. Anyway, there was only one Grand Prix that I could race, but a big chunk of races that were playable. What's also cool is that your character is independent of the vehicle they race in, so you get to choose both, kind of like a certain Mario Karting game. The visuals immediately impressed me. Yes, okay, this was on PC running on a 9070 XT, so performance on other systems may vary, but I personally love the visuals. Everything looks like it has density and heft, not unlike many arcade racing games from the turn of the century. I'm thinking like Mario Kart Arcade GP when it's compared to its console counterparts. There's tons of detail, colour, and it all moves so quickly and smoothly. Audio too is good. Okay, to clarify, the music is amazing. There's tons of recognisable tunes and remixes that pop up. The effects work too is also fantastic, a mixture of classic Sonic sounds and a few new effects that really add to the feel of the game. What I wasn't a fan of was the incessant chatter from the various characters. Don't get me wrong, the voice acting is actually great, but with rivals talking trash to each other before the races and then races themselves having back and forth as they jostle for position, it all feels a bit too much for me personally, to the extent that I hope there's an option that allows you to turn it off. Anyway, back to the gameplay. As I said, it's different from Transformed and Team Sonic, but you do get used to it quickly. Steering feels heavier and the drift is executed differently, with it not wholly replacing the brake to the extent that you saw in Sumo's games. Quite honestly, while I haven't been able to confirm whether the Initial D arcade team are involved, at times Sonic's car felt suspiciously like driving a Nissan Trino, and I mean that in the best possible way. Crossworlds isn't just about the cars though. The vehicles can transform, just like in the game before the last one, and air and water racing all works well too. Tricks are now done with the left stick rather than the right one, which I felt was a little bit awkward given that you now can't steer and trick at the same time, but I got used to it by the end. The tricks themselves feel more scripted too. It felt hard to actually fail one of them, as opposed to Sonic Transformed where I messed them up all the time. I did also try out the extreme gear for some airboarding action, and they played fine, more like a car than the actual boarding physics as seen in the Sonic Riders games. And since I'm not a fan of those titles, I think it's for the best, though Riders has its fans who may be unhappy with its implementation. There's certainly less freedom in moving and performing stunts with the boards in this game. Of course, there's power-ups too, which for the most part work as you would expect. They're mostly analogues to Mario Kart and are largely unremarkable, but there are a few cool ones, such as this one which turns your kart into a monster truck, or the Drill Wisp. You can use some power-ups to fend off attacks too, which is helpful, like using the whirlwind to block a rocket punch or a homing attack. It's honestly a relief given how chaotic the game is. And yeah, the game is kind of insane. The amount of items and action on screen is overwhelming compared to the prior games. And of course, there's the Crossworlds mechanic on top of that, which adds to the mayhem. That said, the Crossworlds part is a cool mechanic, with the lead racer choosing one of two possible routes on the second lap, and racers are then transported to the new track entirely based on that choice. It keeps races fresh and exciting, with seemingly multiple combinations. It may not be as awe-inspiring as Sonic All-Stars Racing Transform's morphing tracks, but it serves a similar purpose to those. Focusing on the single player side, I found the Grand Prix mode pretty tough, since even on the second lowest difficulty, I didn't manage to land first place every single time. There's definitely some degree of rubber banding going on here, as when I was in last place after I screwed up, I caught up with the rest of the pack pretty easily, yet when I was ahead, there was always someone nipping at my heels. And of course, there were times when I was in first place on the home straight, only to get absolutely pounded by items. Still, I managed to top out the Grand Prix leaderboard, and the single player experience felt promising enough. From there, it was on to the multiplayer portion. With a few different game modes available over the course of the test, plus a number of tracks that weren't available in single player, I got a good flavour for the racing, and to be honest, I had even more fun here than in single player. The races felt pretty even, and even against players who've been playing the game a whole lot more than me, I managed to hold my own and even claim some podium finishes. The races don't feel overly chaotic and actually feel more tense and enjoyable than the single player races. Finishing races also bombard you with a bunch of ranking and experience points, plus more abilities to augment your vehicles. There's a bunch of customization options available here, and with interesting upgrade systems that let you place specific buffs onto your ride of choice. This all gives the game a lot of incentive for players to keep playing, though I am a little concerned that it could unbalance the game if this system isn't implemented properly. When I used the buff to reduce my boost charge time, I could already feel the benefit against other online players. So time will tell, I suppose, whether this works as it should do or not. Also, I didn't get to try any of the split screen options this time around, so that side remains to be seen. Split screen Sonic Racing Transformed is still a favourite in the Mega Driver household even as of now. All in all though, I came away from the test very impressed. This is another solid and supremely polished Sonic racer, even with a different team behind it. Team Sonic Racing felt a little too safe and sterile despite its polish, whereas this tries its very best to capture some of the magic from Riders and Transformed. And with some other Sega superstars, not to mention guests from other franchises joining via DLC, this could yet prove to be one of the Hedgehog's best racing games yet. Whether it can match or surpass Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed though, is still a question that will need to be answered, but thankfully in around 2 weeks, we'll have our answer, so stay tuned to the Sega guys to find out once the game hits retail. Until then, we will see you on the Sega side.